Good evening, Matador family. We'll be getting started here in about a minute and a half. It looks like there are a lot of folks joining right now, but we're going to get started shortly after 5 o'clock to respect everyone's time. As we wait, I'll give you all an opportunity to look over the topics that we will be discussing this evening. Good evening, Matador family. We're going to go ahead and get started. I just want to thank you all for joining this evening's town hall. And I also want to take another opportunity to thank our parents, staff, students, and community for their continued support during these very unprecedented times. We are almost to the finish line. It's really hard to believe that Saturday is going to be May 1st. And in spite of COVID, this has been an amazing school year, but it could not have been a success without all of your support and the grace that everyone is giving to one another. I felt that it was going to be very important to provide some updates as we get close to closing out the school year. So I wanted to take some time this evening to discuss a few very important topics this evening. On our agenda this evening, we are going to talk about COVID community trends, the upcoming student vaccination clinic, calendar changes that are coming here very soon for this school year, our transition to face-to-face learning for the fall of 2021, the 21-22 Intersession Calendar, and then we're going to have an opportunity to share thoughts on some protocols for next year. As far as our current COVID trends, keep in mind that we have about 7,000 students in Seguin ISD and 1,100 employees. So we're talking about 8,000 people who are part of this amazing district. Currently, we have 32 Seguin ISD students who are quarantined and one staff member who is quarantined. We currently, out of the 8,000 folks, we have one positive student case and 0 positive staff cases. Across Guadalupe County, hospitalizations have moved up a little this week from 4 to 7, but during the surge, we were at about 40 or more hospitalizations, so we've certainly come a long way. The numbers of quarantined and active cases have decreased as vaccinations have increased, so we are just really proud of that progress. It's starting to feel that things are sort of normalizing a little bit. Had the opportunity to attend the senior serve last night. It was so nice to have seniors and their parents come together, many folks that I hadn't seen in a long time. So I'm very excited about our seniors and everything that they're going to be able to celebrate as they prepare to graduate. We are going to hold a student vaccination clinic. This will be an opportunity for our high school students who are at least 16 years of age to receive a vaccination. This is going to be conducted on May the 4th at Seguin High School. Parental consent is going to be required, and this is going to be hosted by our Guadalupe County Office of Emergency Management. I do want to encourage parents to consider having your students be vaccinated. We did see a lot of students going in and out of quarantine who participated in a variety of extracurricular events, specifically in basketball. And if your students are going to be engaging in those events next year, I would highly encourage you to have them vaccinated so we don't have to worry about students going into quarantine. I really do believe that the vaccinations have played a significant role in the decrease of cases. We are not seeing teachers our staff members going into quarantine, as a significant percentage of our staff have opted to take the vaccine. So parents of students 16 years of age or older, please take advantage of this opportunity. We're going to be sending out more specific details at a later date. We are making a couple of calendar changes for May and June of 2021. So you're going to want to pay attention to this closely, especially kids, because this means just a little bit less school. We have some minutes banked because we didn't use them. And so we have made the decision to hold a student half day on Friday, May the 21st. This is going to give our teachers an opportunity to have that afternoon for a workday, to catch up on grading, organizing classroom, to regroup. This is a very challenging time of the school year during a very challenging school year. And keep in mind that we are ending later than usual, as our last day of school was scheduled for June 11th. So that day is going to be dedicated to teachers just having some time that they are going to need that time of year. Very important change here to the last day of school. The last day of school was on Friday, June the 11th, and that has been moved to Thursday, June 10th. Additional details as to that teacher workday that is scheduled for June 12th will be provided to staff by campus principals and department heads. But the last day of school has moved to June the 10th. Seguin High School graduation is scheduled to be on Friday, June 11th at 8 p.m. in Matador Stadium. So please make sure that you notate those changes. We wanted to give our parents plenty of time to arrange for childcare on that May 21st. So schools will let out early that day, and staff will have time to plan, organize, grade, whatever it is that teachers need to do. As things are beginning to look better for us as far as COVID is concerned, we are looking at transitioning to face-to-face in the fall. We are going to continue with some of our protocols, and those protocols and plans are going to be contingent upon the COVID numbers that we are seeing over the next 4 to 8 weeks. We are planning for pre-K through 5th grade face-to-face learning for all elementary and pre-K students in person beginning in August of 2021. There will not be an option for virtual or remote learning for our pre-K through 5th grade students. The majority of our students will be returning to face-to-face, our 6th to 12th grade students, in August of 2021. There will be consideration given to 6th through 12th grade who are currently excelling utilizing the virtual learning platform. And we have sent out a survey for those parents who are interested in a continuation of remote learning. We have had students who have experienced great success with virtual learning, but I will be upfront and honest that the majority of students who have engaged in remote learning have struggled. There is nothing that equates to that personalization that comes from the teacher and peers in a classroom. So again, pre-K through 5th grade, face-to-face 100%. 6th grade through 12th grade students will be able to elect virtual learning for next year if there has been a track record of success utilizing that platform. The Intersession Calendar was approved by our Board of Trustees during the March scheduled board meeting. So now that this calendar is official, I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to highlight some of the key changes to this school calendar for next year. The Intersession Calendar's intent is to be able to help address the COVID slide or the unfinished learning as a result of lost instructional time. This will afford our students who need support to have additional instructional time. It will also afford teachers who have track records of growing students and who are interested in earning additional income to teach students during those intersession periods. The majority of our students are going to have a holiday and have those days off, and many of our staff members will have those days off as well. The first day of school is going to be on August the 16th, which is a Monday, and a little bit earlier than we've seen in the last couple of years. But for our ball pre-K students, that first day of school is going to be on Wednesday, the 18th, to ensure that these students have a smooth transition versus for 3 days versus 5 days. Our first intersession day is going to be held on September. Our intersession break is September the 29th, the 30th, and October the 1st. So during those 3 days, we are going to be able to bring in students who need additional support. And so that will be somewhat of a fall break, an early fall break. We still maintain the traditional holidays, the Fair Day, Thanksgiving, Labor Day, winter break, spring break, and all of those holidays. Those still continue. The next intersession you'll see is February the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. And again, these 3 days are going to be allocated for students who need additional support. The students who participate in the second intersession may not be the same students who participated in the first. That is going to be contingent upon student progress at that time. And then, as you can see, we have spring break after that. We have the Good Friday break, and we are still getting out at a very reasonable time, with that last day of school being on June the 2nd. At this time, we are going to be participating in a live thought exchange where we are going to be able to provide feedback on your thoughts as we begin to plan and think about next year. And as we have seen the trends significantly improve with COVID, we are seeking to get input from our families and in our community on protocols that we need to have in place or not beginning next year. It is my hope that we start and begin as normal as possible in August, but we want to make sure to be very sensitive to the needs in our community and to get feedback from as many stakeholders as possible as we begin to plan for the 2021-2022 school year. As we begin to set up the thought exchange, which I'm checking to see if we have any technical challenges. We did have a question that came in if parents would be notified if their students need to attend intersession. Yes, parents will be notified shortly prior to that. We want that intervention time to be just in time as teachers identify students' needs. It's unreasonable to say that we want to identify those students 3-4 weeks prior. We want to make sure that we're addressing learning just in time. And so that communication will occur that week prior to the intersession, but the goal is to give as much advance notice as possible. Okay, so all of you who are engaged in the thought exchange, I'm sorry, the virtual town hall this evening, there is a link in the chat. And we are going to give you all about 5 or so minutes to participate in this thought exchange. And what we are asking, and I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what that looks like. We are going to look for input on your thoughts and feelings about key protocols that we should have in place for next school year. Our hope is that through this engaging process, we will be able to get a good gauge on where your thoughts and your feelings are so that we can begin planning for next year, but not only for the fall, but as many of us are going to be participating in summer activities, whether it's summer sports, whether it's summer camps or summer school, we want to make sure that we are not only safe, but we are putting in place safety protocols that align with what we are seeing in our community with COVID. So over the next 5 minutes, if you would please participate in this thought exchange, we are going to go through and discuss some of the thoughts before we close this town hall. We're going to go about another minute or two to allow you an opportunity to either share a thought or to rate thoughts. The rating of thoughts is really important because it allows us to gauge which thoughts um, are of the most concern, are the most supported. So it's really important to rate as many thoughts as you possibly can. Please know that this thought exchange will also be up and available over the next 5 days. There's been a couple of questions that have come in about discussions for protocols next year. We are just now about to begin those discussions, and that's why we're holding this town hall to gather your thoughts as we begin to plan and prepare for next year. The COVID trends are moving pretty fast. So the next few weeks are going to be really important, but it's just essential that we get feedback from our stakeholders. And this avenue really allows us to gather a lot of feedback in an engaging and in a short amount of time as well. Okay, at this time, we're going to look at a few thoughts so that you have an idea of what this format looks like and what type of data we're going to be gathering over the next several days as we begin to plan for opening of school next school year. So as you can see, some of the thoughts that have risen to the top, there's a lot of support for the continuation of utilizing sanitizer. And what I've heard a lot of feedback about is the fewer instances of students getting sick with whether it's flu or strep, and we believe that some of the protocols have certainly helped with that. Water bottles, minimal trips to the water fountain. It's also more sanitary, so that's another consideration. There's been a lot of support for that one on this thought exchange. Keeping up with the extra cleaning, following CDC guidelines. Again, you see sanitizing over and over. I think that's an important protocol that we should just continue moving forward even after COVID. Again, water bottles, we've seen that again. Clear classroom expectations, I think ensuring that we continue to follow safe practices even after COVID to minimize students being ill and missing school. Making decisions that reflect the best interest of students and their needs, absolutely. Allowing parents to better participate in student extracurricular activities. I think that's going to be really important over the next few weeks. So we'll be able to, we'll continue to see what our trends are the last couple of weeks of school. If they continue to improve, then we can look at parents engaging in student activities at school. Opportunities for extension and remediation. The federal dollars that were allocated for Texas have been released. And so there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to add additional staff, to have focused tutoring after school, to offer summer school for more students, and to extend the school year over the next several years for students who need that type of support. Those dollars are also going to support the intersession days. It's going to allow us to provide food to students, to provide transportation, to be able to compensate staff as well. So we're very thankful for Texas giving those dollars to the schools and not supplanting those dollars like they did the last time. So as you can see, this is how that feedback is going to look. And we're really going to pay close attention to those thoughts that rate in that around 4 area. Again, you see limiting guests, hand sanitizer. I think there are some protocols that we are definitely going to continue, but there are some that we may be able to relax. In fact, you may have noticed that we have relaxed the use of masks at outdoor athletic events. Outdoor athletic events where you can still social distance, you are not required to wear a mask at this time in Seguin ISD. Another comment about class sizes remaining small. It's our hope with these federal dollars that we can add additional teachers to continue some classes remaining small. That would be ideal, but it's not going to be every content area and every grade level. We're going to be very strategic in how we staff our schools next year. Spreading our reduction of students during lunch in the cafeteria is another thought that rated pretty high, following CDC guidelines, mandatory protocols to reflect current statistics. And Mr. Hoffman, we can stop sharing this screen. As you can see, there are strong feelings on both sides of the aisle when it comes to COVID. But what I appreciate about this community is that we've been able to have support the entire school year. And we've seen minimal instances of COVID in our schools because of our protocols. But it is time to really look at what protocols need to continue, and your feedback is going to be valuable. But what I can say is, no matter what the decision is, there is going to be a segment that is not going to be satisfied, because unfortunately, a lot of the protocols, specifically masks, have become highly politicized. But we really do need to look at current data. And the great thing about the school system, TEA has allowed us to have a lot of flexibility when it comes to establishing protocols, even if they're not quite aligned with CDC, because every community is very unique. And we're very fortunate to be in a situation where we're seeing significant progress with COVID. And it is my hope and prayer that next year is as normal as possible. Our students have had to experience a lot of hardships the last 2 school years. And it's time that we really think hard about what is best for our students who have struggled the last couple of years, not only our students, but our teachers. And so we're going to be looking closely at this data that comes through this thought exchange over the next several weeks to make decisions that are going to be the best decisions for this community. I want to thank you all so much for participating in this town hall. I appreciate you carving out 30 minutes to come and listen to me speak. I know it's a busy time of year, but it's just so important for us to be informed and for us to stay connected. Stay tuned, because we will have a follow-up town hall after the administrative team has an opportunity to look at this data. We're going to come back and provide you an update on what practices we're going to follow the last couple of weeks of school during summer and as we prepare to open next school year. One more thing, it's a great day to be a Matador. Have a great evening. Thank you.